Hi, everyone. I'm Giselle Sturdevant. I am the Logitech G DEI champion, and I am joined today by some amazing panelists, and we're going to be talking about the importance of DEI in the gaming industry. So I'm going to have my illustrious panelists introduce themselves, say what their job description title is, as well as their pronouns if they feel comfortable. So Tania, if you would take it away.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Tania Alvarez-Moreno. I am a design lead for Logitech Gaming, and my pronouns are she and her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Navis. I'm the head of services for gaming, and I also use she, her pronouns.
Hello, my name is Najoh Tita-Reid. I have the pleasure to serve as the Chief Marketing Officer for Logitech, and my pronouns are she, her.
Hi, everyone. My name's Erin Chin, and I'm the CMO for Logitech for Creators. I also use she, her pronouns.
And again, I'm Giselle Sturdevant. I am the gaming DEI champion, and my pronouns are also she, her. So, over the past 5 years, streaming and gaming have really flourished into the largest entertainment sector that people are experiencing today. And with over 3 billion players from different communities around the globe, it really provides an interesting opportunity for cross-cultural conversations to take place on issues that are impacting today's society. And hardware manufacturers, game developers, publishers, and consumers recognize these opportunities, but also face challenges in creating those experiences to have those cross-cultural conversations. So in this panel, we're going to aim to discuss some of the key trends and challenges around diversity, equity, and inclusion in the gaming industry. So to start us off, I'd really love to ask the question, what does gaming and being in the gaming streaming industry mean to you? Tania, if you would want to start us off.
I started gaming when I was very small with my brother, and ever since it's really been about creating connections and not being part of the industry and getting to know so many people of different walks of life. Coming together under this common thread of gaming has been the most exciting and gratifying for me.
Yeah, for me, I never imagined having a career in gaming. My past career was in social impact spaces and startups, and so coming into gaming was really exciting. I think it's a really powerful force for shaping culture and building community, and really just addressing social good. You have millions of people engaged across the globe who are highly engaged and highly motivated to connect, and I think that's a really powerful tool to have great conversations and build meaningful community.
For me, I view it as an amazing opportunity to make a large impact. I was not alive at the beginning of many sports in the world, but I was alive at the beginning of gaming. And I am here in a position that could make an impact in what is going to be the largest sport in the world. And so the opportunity to have that sport absolutely reflect the world and the people in it is outstanding. And I'm privileged to be here, and I'm looking forward to, with all of these amazing leaders, be able to make sure that the game is as inclusive as we'd want it to be.
Bringing up the rear, I'm building on all of the things that these fabulous ladies have said. And for me, it's really about having the privilege to be able to serve gamers and creators, and as supporting them as they're kind of living their passions. As everyone has mentioned, just the amount of connection that exists in the community is so powerful, and I see it through my own children, how they're able to connect with friends and family that are not close because they're chatting and bonding over while playing games. It's just really incredible to see, and I'm so happy that that's where we are today.
And I do want to take a moment to recognize, we're having this panel not only on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but the panel is entirely made up of women in this industry. And I think that that is a really important distinction to call out, because when you look at the historical perspective on gaming, it has not necessarily included traditionally marginalized groups. So, Najoh, how do you think the industry is evolving even more to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion into the conversation?
So, the industry is quite broad. So if we're talking about not just, the gaming and streaming industry, but obviously the industry overall, consumer electronics and sports, I believe that people are recognizing that if they're not inclusive, they will not exist. And because of that, I believe that the industry is seeking to be relevant especially to the younger generations, and recognizing that the particular generation will not tolerate non-inclusivity. And we as an industry, everyone I think as an industry is trying to pivot, but I can speak at least for Logitech to say that I don't think we are trying to pivot. We are absolutely not just pivoting, but seeking to lead the change. It is amazing when I just think about the development of this panel. It wasn't hard to find us in the company. Each one of us is a leader in different disciplines, and the company has been very intentional to make sure that we reflect the world in which we aim to serve. And so I believe that the industry is seeking to make a change. I believe Logitech is leading that change, and I'm looking forward to talking about how we're doing that today.
And I think that's something that Tania can build on with her experience developing the Aurora Collection.
Absolutely. I think we also see a shift in the industry, like Najoh said. It's evolving. The composition of our gaming market is evolving, and we have the responsibility to respond to it and really be truly representational of who belongs in this gaming community, across product development, across the gaming development, and even in the workforce as well. And a great example of this is the launch of the Aurora Collection, where we acknowledge that about 50% of the gaming population is made up of women. And so being able to sit down with them, focus on the things that motivate them, why they game in the first place, and really understand the pain points that they currently go through within our current existing year, and designing a ground-up collection that really serves those points was critical to do. By starting with them, we were able to create a collection that not only spoke to them, but it really widened the aperture of pain points and solutions for a wider audience, which was very gratifying.
And I think you really see that in the marketing campaign, not only for Aurora Collection, but what Logitech is doing outside of just Logitech G. Erin, I think, the work that you're doing with the Together We Create campaign is another prime example. So do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about how we're, building a community, a diverse community of creators, and partnering with creators to drive the change that we all want to see in the world. I think a couple good examples of that, the first being our Creators for BIPOC movement, which started in 2020 as a 10-year, $1 million pledge to support charities that are focusing on dealing with inequity and making the world a more diverse place. I'm happy to say that, just 2 years later, we've raised more than $600,000, or more than halfway to our 10-year goal. And we've really been focusing on how we drive, recognition, representation, and been pouring resources into making the world more equitable and just, partnering with creators along the way. And I think it's really important that we can partner with creators, like I said, to drive the cultural change that we all want to see. Another example is the Songbreaker Awards, which we created in 2019 to really celebrate creators that were making an impact on music culture. And, a lot of the songs we realized that were nominated for Grammys and other things were driven by dance challenges and memes that creators, and primarily diverse creators, were making. And they weren't getting really any credit for it. Everyone celebrated the song's success, but no one said, hey, creator, it was because of that amazing dance that you did that went viral that way more people know the song. And so we started celebrating those creators. And then most recently, in our second annual Songbreaker Awards, we brought it to the metaverse, which was an incredible experience to really allow many more people to experience the Songbreaker Awards. And the best, I think, piece of feedback that we got was, we saw a social post from a gentleman named Bradley Heaven, and he is quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and he talked about the fact that he was able to participate in an event, a concert with Lizzo and Gail and really experience this amazing entertainment event that, he really couldn't have done otherwise without thinking about all of the challenges that he might face to be able to go and experience that. And he was able to really just, fully immerse himself in the experience and was so grateful that we thought about people like him when we were creating this experience so that he could enjoy it. I think one last example is, I think the work that you're doing, Giselle, is really incredible with the Creator Spotlight series. Maybe you should talk about that.
Yeah, happy to. Logitech G does a Creator Spotlight series on our Twitch channel where each month we are highlighting not only a different cause, but a different charity and using it as an opportunity to have traditionally marginalized communities have the floor and use our channel to really speak to showcase their community while raising funds for other organizations and really creating intersectional conversations around topics that don't necessarily get a lot of airtime. Perfect example is right now we are highlighting Hispanic Heritage Month on our channel while raising funds for able gamers.
Incredible.
So how do we help the industry become more inclusive and a less toxic space? I think, Erin, you touched on some of those points with what we're currently doing, but do you have any additional thoughts to bring to the table?
I think we have to hold each other accountable. I think we have to make sure that not only are we modeling what we want to see, but, as humans calling out when we see things that aren't necessarily good, just, let people know like, hey, like we should be thinking about how we make things more equitable, make things more inclusive. And really, I think sometimes people don't know, and hopefully it's, ignorance that drives bad behavior. And sometimes, there could be bad intention, but I think making sure that everybody approaches it from a really positive perspective and does what they can to make gaming culture more positive, I think that's a good start.
And I know, Kelsey, the work that you've done historically as well as in the gaming industry now really focuses on this topic in particular, so would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, my team and I have been really dedicated to looking into solutions for toxicity about the last year and a half, and we've had incredible conversations with gamers about this kind of dream world of gaming that they all really share. And I think it's been really powerful seeing that gamers actually have a very powerful and aligned vision of what gaming could be and the wonderful world that's possible. And yet we know that toxicity really does impact, especially historically marginalized gamers. They're disproportionately impacted by toxicity online. That includes women, LGBTQ plus individuals, people of color. They are still largely the, targets of toxicity online. And yet, I think it's really important to call out that 70% of gamers across all demographics are really tired of toxicity. They want companies to be doing more. They want solutions. And so this really isn't just about marginalized communities. Everyone wants a better world of gaming. And so my team's been really privileged to be looking into that. And I think what we found is that it's actually interesting. Gamers have told us that inclusion actually is not enough to them. What they want to see is uplift and celebration. And so, Erin, I think your point about partnering is so important because we've found that the solution to toxicity is actually centering marginalized gamers from the very, very beginning. I've had so many gamers tell us that they feel like they come in as a rubber stamp at the end of a project or a product that's basically already fully baked, and they're just supposed to kind of give finishing feedback or touches. And I think it's really powerful that here at Logitech, we're bringing in marginalized voices and communities from the very beginning, from visioning and framing all the way through, and they're driving the products and the solutions we're making. And so I think that's how Logitech is leading. I think it's what the industry needs to do more of, and I think that's where real change comes in. It's not just branding, it's not just marketing, it's actually bringing in those voices and those partners in the very, very beginning, and I think that's where the solution to toxicity lies too.
And again, going back to Tania's experience with the Aurora Collection, I think, really how that conversation started, not necessarily how it ended, but how it started is really important to call out. So Tania, could you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. I think even thinking about the way the project started, we tried to make a representational team of who we were serving for as well, and including female gamers and women gamers from the very start, to really focus on research and asking them the questions, asking them what it is that they wanted us to focus on, and having them throughout the whole process was really critical, through testing, through validation, and really that co-creation of that process was the centerpiece of how we determined our experience strategy and the key things that we wanted to focus on. And in turn, we landed on this very inclusive collection that, solved for key pain points like smaller hands, smaller heads, longer hair. How do I use earrings? Which in turn, not only women have these key pain points, and so we ended up with a very inclusive collection that allowed for everyone to enjoy the collection by solving these pain points as well.
That's so great to hear. And I'd love to hear, from Najoh as well, as far as how this is an example that is also being, looked at throughout all of Logitech.
Absolutely. I'd say one thing about Logitech is that at the heart, we are a design company, right? And so, you've got a brilliant designer, and Tania right there, representing the community of designers we have in the organization. But something different about the company is all of us consider ourselves designing in some form or fashion, really putting the consumer or the customer at the center, and then working to make sure that we are bringing their needs to life. And so at Logitech, I think what we really aim to do is do that, but be more inclusive in how we're delivering that. And so no matter what function that you're in at Logitech, we aim to be inclusive. And I think it comes very much across in not just the products that we design, which are amazing, but in how we communicate and how we relate and connect. If you look at our advertising, hopefully you see that we are absolutely working to be authentic and representative. And it's not an afterthought. We don't do the brief and then work to do some casting. We're very inclusive in the insights that we have. And that's not just from a cultural perspective, it's from an accessibility perspective, it's from a thinking, neurodiversity, and I could go on. And working to have that brief and then reflect that in what you see or what you hear is important. And we could go on about how we actually work to sell our products and make sure that they're accessible, our websites, and that they're inclusive and accessible as well. And so every touch point that we work to deliver to the world, we work to make sure that it reflects the people who we're aiming to serve. And that's across our whole organization. And so it's a privilege to work for a company that takes our responsibility as leaders seriously. And we don't just aim to have Logitech win. We really want the industry to change. And I think that's really important. This is a very rare company where we know it's a competitive advantage, but we also know it's the right thing to do. And we're willing to be able to have a panel like this and share with the entire industry and make sure the industry uses us as leaders to change and to know that we view it as our responsibility, but it's everyone's responsibility to change and be more inclusive in how we drive this potentially industry forward.
And I think that kind of really ties in nicely to the last question that I have that is very broad, but I think, there is no right answer, wrong answer. It is, a starting point for a conversation. And that's, how do we build an inclusive brand while balancing those cultural nuances in a hyper-connected society? Because obviously with social media, with gaming, with streaming, Twitch, YouTube, you can be across the world and consuming content from a content creator that is in a vastly different area, might have a very different background than you. So how do we balance all of that? Kelsey?
Yeah, that's a huge question. There's a lot of ways to take it. I think, as we've been saying here, it's not just a branding exercise. Branding and marketing is so important to the conversation, but starting even earlier with the voices and the gamers and creators that we're centering is so important. And in my work, I found it's really interesting. Actually, gamers really want to feel like gaming is human and accessible and approachable for everyone. And I think in the past, so much of gaming conversations have been about performance. They've been maybe very masculine in nature. And so making it warmer and more human has actually interestingly resonated across demographics in our work. It's resonated with what may have been thought of as a more core gamer in the past, but it's also resonated with women, LGBTQ gamers. And so I think that there's this maybe like simpler truth in this work is that just making a space that people can see themselves in that feels approachable and warm and human is maybe, we don't have to cater possibly to every nuance as long as we can create a space that feels kind of large enough and encompassing enough that everyone can see themselves in it. And I think that's the next challenge within gaming.
And Tania, I see you shaking your head. Yes,
I mean,
nodding your head.
agree
yes.
with everything you just said. But I really do think it's about creating the space and giving people a platform to rise. I don't necessarily believe it's about us owning that story as a brand or really telling that story for them, but creating a platform where they themselves can tell their story, come as they are, and for us to sit back and listen and learn and create products and experiences that truly honor and represent them. And that is what it's all about. It's what we did with the Aurora Collection, and it is, I think, how we should move forward as well.
And I think that's what Logitech for Creators is doing too, Erin. So obviously want to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a company, as a brand, it's our duty to help use our resources, use our platforms to drive the change that we all want to see. And I think that's what we're doing. All of the examples that we've brought forth today, I think really reflect all of the work that Logitech is doing to live its values and to make a positive impact on the world. And what we're doing with creators is just one piece of the bigger Logitech story. Putting creators at the center of everything that we do, really fostering and building this inclusive community, vibrant, diverse community, and doing the work and doing the work to drive the change isn't just about us doing things unilaterally. It's partnering with creators to figure out what are the causes that they care about? What are the things? Where are their pain points? How can we make sure that we're addressing the things that they feel are going to make the most impact? And I think, most recently as part of our Creators for BIPOC initiative, but I think much more broader in scope, we invited 5 creators and partnered with them that represent a wide range of identities, different racial and ethnic backgrounds, different identities in terms of gender, transgender, female, male, all types. Really, and not to say that we were exhaustive, because that's not possible with 5 people, but we really wanted to have wide representation to help partner with us and inform the places that we should be looking to for our future change initiatives and making sure that, we weren't making the decisions on where to focus our efforts without really having the voice of a wide representation of creators at the table. And I think that's one of the things I'm really proud of that we've done recently.
Najoh, any last thoughts?
Oh gosh, there's so many, but the one thing I would say is while Erin and Tania and Kelsey, do just a fantastic job every day of driving both our creator and our gaming economy forward, Logitech does this across the board. We are working to represent gaming and creators and the whole creator economy and make sure that we democratize what's possible, but we also do the same thing in hybrid working, right? We are working to change the game in hybrid working. We are working to change the game, of course, in gaming and streaming, and we're trying to work to change the game and this area of personal workspace and business. And so it's something that is important to understand that in the ethos of who Logitech is, we do aim to defy logic. We do aim to change everything that we touch and have people really not follow the old logic of the past, but to really define a new logic. And I think that's what you see all of us working to do, is to change the game that we're in. And Logitech G has done a fantastic job, and Logitech for Creators has done a fantastic job and leading the way for Logitech, really, I think, connecting with the younger generation in an authentic way. And our whole company is grateful for the work that they're doing and aims to make sure this is absolutely the way and the path forward for the entire company. And so as we are here today representing this particular group and audience authentically, all of the people who are watching should look to see us doing this across the entire company. This is just the beginning for Logitech, and I'm looking forward to coming back and sharing all the great things we're doing across the organization.
And I just want to say thank you to all the panelists today for sharing your thoughts, your expertise. It was an honor to moderate this panel. And before we wrap up, I do have, something to share in that we do want to take a moment to acknowledge the Adaptive Esports Tournament that we are very proud to partner with Mount Sinai Adaptive Action Sports and Able Gamers on, and very pleased to say that it is coming back this year. We are going to have more information on that soon, so please stay tuned for more information on this year's Adaptive Esports Tournament.
Thank you so
you
much,
for
Giselle.
hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.